Hey Sujaya, all these parenting gyan or the positive parenting and all of these things do not work with my child because my child knows why he or she is doing whatever he or she is doing. For example, he my child hits the friend or cousin or sibling, and my child also knows why he is hitting, maybe for the toy or something else. So the kind of hands are not for hitting, legs are not for kicking, do not actually work for my child. So what else works? How can I convey this to my child that you're not supposed to be hurting another person? How can I put this across to my child? Are you wondering for an answer for this question? Then stay tuned till the end of this video, and I am sure you will get your own takeaways. Hello and welcome to Beyond Parenting with Sujaya. So here we are where we are handling a child who knows why he or she is hitting. For that matter, every child actually knows why they're doing whatever they're doing. In most of the times, at most of the instances, the parent usually doesn't know, and that is where the misunderstanding comes in, where the expectations of a parent is different from whatever the child is doing, and the conflict keeps on increasing. Yes, so let's come to this situation where I had this question from one of the parents where my child knows that the cousin is not giving the toy, and that is the reason my child hit. So even when I strike a conversation and I'm kind of asking the child, why did you do that? Why and hands are not for hitting and legs are not for kicking and all that stuff, it doesn't actually work because my child simply states the reason, which he or she is clear and confident about the reason, and the child just walks away, right? So what more can I talk to my child? Yes, are you also sailing in this boat where the child is doing whatever he or she wants to do, and the child is clear why he or she is doing, but you are kind of breaking your head to make the child understand why that may not be the right thing to do at all times at all the times, right? Then let's understand this, okay? Let's understand this. Now, so the child hit and the child has a reason for that. Can you see a correlation with what you have done to your child? You yelled at your child and you had a reason for that. You were angry, you were irritated. Yes, I hit you, or yes, I yelled at you because I've been reminding you 5 times, but still you've not come. That is the reason I yelled at you. If the child could have asked you, why are you hurting me? Then maybe this was your answer, very similar to an answer that your child has now. That cousin or my friend or that child B is not giving me the toy, and that is the reason I hit him. That is the reason I yelled at him. I just used some kind of loud voice. Yes. So if your child could have asked you, why are you hurting my feelings? Then maybe, yes, you've not been listening to me. I've been reminding you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, enough is enough. I am angry. No more. I cannot control this. So I'm angry. That is the reason I'm yelling. Do you see this kind of correlation happening between how you treat your child and how your child is treating the fellow child? Yes. Now let's understand the second point. The first point is giving reasons or justifying your action with certain things. Yes, I've done this, but because this has happened, that has happened, this has happened, this has happened, and that is the reason I've done this, I did this. Yes, the first point was to understand where is this justification coming from. Yes, now let's understand the second point. Let's get to the second point. The second point is, okay, so you wanted that toy. Couldn't you be a little gentler? You can wait a little longer. You can wait for a little. You can just wait. She's a little girl. She's a little boy. He's a little boy. You will get it. If not now, then maybe after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, you will definitely get it. Just wait for some time. And it didn't work. I mean, you're trying to tell your child that you should have done this. But again, what happens? The child who actually hit, maybe the child had already tried asking for the toy in a gentle tone, in a calmer tone, waiting for the other child to give the toy. Maybe all of the attempts had already been done by your child, by this child A. Yes, if not now, then maybe yesterday or the last instance where they had a similar kind of experience. Yes. So again, let's look at a correlation that happens from you towards your child. Yes. So again, why are you yelling? Because unless I yell, unless I use my loud voice, you do not move. You do not go to start brushing your teeth. You do not come for the meal table. I've been calm, I've been patient, I've been gentle, I've been waiting for you for 5 minutes, for 8 minutes, for 10 minutes. It still doesn't happening. That is the reason I'm raising my voice. It's the same thing that your child has done there. Yes, the 5 minutes, the 8 minutes, the 10 minutes which you have waited for your child also might have happened right at that instance or at the previous experiences all through which you've been waiting for your child for to just get things done at that point of time, according to whether it is brushing time or bathing time or eating time or learning time, studying time, homework time, play time, coming back to home time, whatever it is. There was a pattern that got created, and somehow you that kind of belief came into your head that unless I yell, unless I use my loud voice, my child wouldn't move. So yes, you are reminding your child calmly, gently, and you are patient. You've been waiting for 5 minutes, for 6 minutes, still doesn't work. Things don't work. If you're actually looking for a solution for this thing, then there is a look, just look into my earlier videos where I've given you ample solutions for every challenge that you are going through, that you are facing in your parenting journey. So in this video, in this section, I'm just trying to correlate what the child is doing with what the child has experienced from the parent in the name of parenting. Yes, so you are at a juncture where you've been waiting, you are calm, you are patient, you are gentle, but unless you yell, unless you use your loud voice, things do not move. So your child also waited for the child to give back. It didn't work. Your child was patient, your child was calm, your child was looking here and there. What is the other child? What is he doing with that toy? Is he going to destroy it? Is he going to bang it on the floor? Is he going to what will happen to my toy? Your child is actually wants to take good care of that toy. So your child is consciously and eagerly waiting for his or her toy to come back to him or her. And because he's been waiting and it just didn't come back, he had to use maybe the hands or the legs or the voice or whatever it is not supposed to be used according to the parent's perspective, according to the adult's perspective, maybe bad manners. But where did these bad manners come from? From the loud voices that the parent also uses towards the child. Let's understand that. Where did the child learn to raise their voice? Where did the child learn to raise her voice or his voice? These are all, they're quite natural. Let's just accept the fact that yes, things are happening. Yes, I am also yelling. Yes, I am also shouting. But get into the root, get deep within. Why is it happening? It's high time that you understand why these things, whatever they're happening, are happening. That is when there is a resolution to that. You got to resolve that. Otherwise, the same thing is going to come back, keep hitting you repeatedly. Yeah. So now the second point, coming to the first point, was yes, you had excuses for you to yell. The child also had reasons for the child to hit or yell or kick or punch or whatever it is that the child has done to the sibling, the friend, the cousin. The second point is you were calm, but it didn't work. You raised your voice. The child also was calm. The toy didn't come back to him. So the child had to raise a voice or hit or punch or kick or whatever it is that the child has done. Yes. So the gyan, whatever you wanted to transfer at that point of time, might not really work at that point of time. Right? Because the child has already been through it. The child was already calm. The child was already waiting for the toy to come to him or to her. So what else can you do? What else can you do? This is a golden opportunity for you to not create solutions for your child, but to understand your child's feelings. Because your child has already been through a certain journey, been through a mixture of feelings of helplessness, of maybe anger that the toy is not coming back to him, of maybe concern that the toy might get spoiled, that the toy may be damaged. Yes, a mixture of feelings, maybe bombardment of feelings. A child, your child has been through some kind of feelings. So this is a golden opportunity for you to connect with your child and just let him or her open up and share his or her feelings with you instead of creating solutions for the child. Yes, so maybe the solution might not come up right at that instance. Maybe even tomorrow there will be some kind of thing which where the child is trying to get the toy but still not coming and blah 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 blah. But the child starts to trust that my parent, instead of judging me, instead of saying these are bad manners, instead of saying I'm a bad boy, I'm a bad girl, my parent is at least understanding my feelings, that I'm actually concerned about this toy. Yes, so your child starts to trust, and this trust, it's what makes the child open up his and share his or her feelings with you. And yes, you can always strike a conversation, create a long conversation, maybe not right at that point of time where when the child is already feeling low because of whatever has happened, and maybe some other adult is maybe judging the child, maybe not you, but somebody else is judging the child, right? So just be according to how that scenario needs you to be at that point of time. But at some point later, reflection time, before the bed, before sleeping, as a bedtime routine, you can always strike a conversation and just take it further. Again, not to judge, again, not to label good, bad, right, wrong, good manners, bad manners, because as long as you're doing that, your child just doesn't want to share whatever it is the child was feeling at that point of time. If you are judging, this conversation is only to show the acceptance that you have for your child, for even if the child has hit the sibling, even if the child has hit the cousin, even if the child has hit the friend. It is for you to lay that foundation of trust and acceptance. That is when the child, now in this conversation, you can again go to, various scenarios, maybe some imaginary scenarios, maybe some experiences of your childhood you could be sharing that. So the next day again this happens, or maybe whatever you have done you could share, or just create some imaginary scenarios for, okay, so if this is something that we should not go towards hurting, then how else, right? It is not because again, when the parent has entered that scene of conflict between two children, the children are immediately put into a judgmental zone because the children think that the parent is acting as a referee. So remove this impression from your child's mind that you are the referee. Be his companion, be her companion, and now start to create solutions. Not you. You are helping the child to create solutions using his or her own thinking capabilities, abilities, with empathy, with compassion, with the need of that situation. The child also needs the toy. The child is actually showing empathy for the toy. Yes, so nothing's low, right? So the child needs it. The child is maybe worried about the toy. That's also fact. That's also true. So so the same thing repeats. So how else could we do this? I do not want to come in there between you both, and I do not want to say you are right or you are wrong. I'm just sharing you sample conversations, but you have to take it forward in your own unique flavor, because you are unique, your child is unique, and whatever experiences that you are having is unique, right? So the first point is, give that kind of acceptance that I am not a referee. Whatever you do, I am with you. I am also with that cousin. Now you got to resolve this situation. Yes, you need the toy. Yes, that person also needs the toy. So can you converse together and maybe say you take it for 10 minutes, he takes it for 10 minutes, or play together, play a pretend play together where each one of them is taking good care of the toy. Otherwise, what simply happens, you are kind of snatching the toy away because you are worried, because you are concerned about the well-being of the toy. But because you are snatching, the child B becomes angry and he or she might throw the toy, and this simply destroys the purpose of you asking for the toy, right? So what is a purpose and how can you approach it? How else can you approach it and make the solution? You can help the child create his or her own unique solutions at that point of time. You need not be the judge. You need not be the referee. And the more and more you're doing it, the more and more open stage you are providing to your child, the more and more accepting you are. You are accepting your child, for even if the child has hit, even if the child is actually maybe crying because somebody else took the toy. Someday, maybe 5 days from now, or 1 year from now, or 2 years from now, when the child has faced a situation and somehow things did not work, and the child had to hit the sibling or the friend or the cousin or the neighbor or somebody on the road, the child had to do something just to take care of some of his belongings or his own self. We're not sure, we don't know. If you are accepting the child right from what the child is doing at that point of time, then the child will develop so much trust with you to come and share with you, that when the child actually does that hitting, or I'm not saying just hitting, but whatever the child has done, some kind of disturbed reaction, the child will come straight to you, walking towards you, and share with you all that has happened. Mama, this has happened. I try to do this. No, the other person told this. So this, according to me, this was a perspective, and I had to hit him, or I had to shout. I had to do this. I just don't know what else I could do. Maybe I was helpless, Mama. This is something that the child will share with you if you've been providing this open stage of acceptance and trust to your child, right through all the conflicts that your child is having with you, with the sibling, with the friend, with the cousin, and everyone around the child. So just look into this and see how you can do this, how you can implement this when your child is in a conflict with somebody out there. And let me know how helpful this video was in the comment section below. Cheers, have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.